and welcome. My name is Firebug. In this video, I'll be going over Skadi's lore and a build guide. If you're not interested in Skadi's lore and you want to go straight to the build guide, please skip ahead in the timestamp shown on screen right now. Before I begin, I want to say some disclaimers. First disclaimer is I'm not an expert in Norse mythology or claim to be an expert whatsoever. I do take my time to do my own research and read books and look up online what the actual story for these gods or goddesses. Second disclaimer, if I mispronounce any of the gods or goddesses' names, I do apologize in advance. In this part of the video, there's going to be 3 sections. First is going to be Hirez's version of Skadi's lore. The second is my version of Skadi's lore. Then the third is the endgame of Skadi's lore. Alright, all that being said, let's finally begin. Alright, so this is the lore section of Skadi. I'm going to watch Hirez's version of Skadi and see if it's correct or not, and give you guys my reaction of it. So, here we go.
Welcome to the Smite God reveal for Skadi, the goddess of winter. Celebrating in the halls of Asgard, the gods drank and feasted while the body of Jotun Thiazi lay cold nearby. Odin and his ilk boasted of their achievements, laughing and cheering to celebrate. At that moment, the doors swung wide, breathing icy wind across the hall. There she stood, pale as snow, clad in furs, eyes blue as glacier ice ablaze with vengeful fire, spear in hand. Skadi, the Jotun's daughter, had come. The gods sought to dissuade her from violence. As a symbol of honor, Odin cast the eyes of her father into the heavens to twinkle as stars for eternity. Unsatisfied, she demanded, a life for a life. However, it was Loki who persuaded her. Through his wit and charm, her frozen features melted away. Odin declared Skadi would marry a god and in turn become a goddess. Skadi agreed. Blindfolded, she was to choose her husband. Njord was a god of summer and Skadi a goddess of winter. After a few years, they amicably parted ways. Skadi returned to the snow-capped mountains of her youth, but without her father or husband, she soon grew lonely. Word spread of a war between the pantheons, Odin and Loki, Njord and Ulr. These gods were her family now, and Skadi would not lose the only family she had left.
Okay. Don't care about the abilities. So now I'm going to give you the more accurate and correct lore of Skadi. Skadi, the winter goddess. In a land where the biting cold grips the earth and the nights stretch endlessly, a fierce goddess walks wielding the chill of winter as both her armor and her curse. But even in the realm of ice, there's much more to Skadi. A tale woven with the threads of laughter, love, and vengeful gods. Once in the ancient mountains of Jotunheim lived Skadi, the daughter of the fearsome giant Thrazi. Her life took a dramatic turn when her father was slain by the gods, leading her to seek her vengeance. Clad in armor of ice, and bearing her bow tightly in hand, Skadi stormed into Asgard, the realm of the gods, ready to demand justice. As she entered the ground halls of the gods, a propel feared swept through the pantheon. The fierce winter goddess was a sight to behold. Her icy breath sent chills down the spines of even the bravest of deities. Frigg, the queen of the gods, visibly shuddered, while Thor grasped his hammer tightly, ready for a fight. But it was Odin himself who stood before her. Despite to appease her rage, the gods offered Skadi a multitude of gifts, each more extravagant than the last. Freyr presented her a golden boar, promising its bounty, while Bragi the bard offered songs to celebrate her bounty and strength. Yet Skadi remained unwaved by the lavish offerings. Her heart was lavished with the desire for vengeance. She determined justice for her father's death, and Odin, realizing that brute force would not solve this dilemma, Odin offered her a unique opportunity, the chance to choose a husband from among the gods, so she could become a goddess. Skadi agreed, but there was a catch. She can only see the gods' feet. Skadi could only choose any god, but she can only see their feet. Believing that the cleanest feet belonged to the most handsome god, Baldr, she made her choice. However, when she pulled back the curtains, she was surprised to find that she has chosen the god of the sea instead, Njord, whose feet were clean from always walking the shores in Asgard. This upset Skadi, and so Loki stepped in. In a particularly reckless moment, he waged a ludicrous bet. In a fit of laughter, Loki found himself in a peculiar situation. He tied his own testicles to a string which was then attached to a goat. As the goat pulled him around, the laughter of the gods filled the air. As Loki struggles to pull back the goat, the string snapped, causing him to fall in a funny manner. Skadi, once filled with hatred and vengeance for her father, now laughing. Laughter spread through the halls of Asgard, and as Odin joined in, a bright idea struck him. To celebrate Skadi becoming a goddess, Odin took Skadi's father's eyes and cast them into the sky, turning them into stars. This act forged a new bond between the gods and Skadi. Skadi was pleased. Now married, Njord offered Skadi the choice to live with him. However, the life in Njord's coastal home was far from what Skadi had ever imagined. The crashing waves clashed with her love for the scene of snow-clad mountains, leading to the countless disagreements that echoed in the halls of their home. The goddess of winter yearned for the silence of snowfall, while Njord cherished the songs of the sea. Eventually, their differences drove them apart, and they agreed to separate. Skadi would return to her icy peaks, while Njord would roam the shores, while he felt most at home. Skadi was happy and free, going back to the mountains where she felt most at home. However, she couldn't help to feel lonely. The vastness of her icy domain, once filled with laughter and companionship, now echoed with her solitude. As the nights grew longer, she found herself gazing at the stars Odin had gifted her, reminded of her father's eyes glaring down from above. Determined to fill her days, Skadi began to embrace the beauty of her home. She hunted the nimble deer that roamed the mountains, learned the songs of the winds that wisped through the peaks, and even inviting the spirits of the snow to join her. She crafted trinkets from ice and stone, transforming her loneliness into art. Each piece is a testament of her strength and resilience. Yet her immense efforts, she still finds herself lonely. Skadi felt a yearning for connection. In a moment of vulnerability, she called upon the spirits of winter, asking them to bring her a companion who could understand her fierce spirit and share the magic of the frost. As the first snowflake began to fall, a figure appeared on the horizon. Calder, the wolf, emerged from the shadows, his fur glistening like freshly fallen snow, with the eyes as sharp as icicles, and a presence that commanded respect. Calder approached Skadi, sensed her strength and solitude. "Why did you call out the spirits of winter?" "I yearn for a companion who understands the beauty of the frost and the strength that lies within the chill," Skadi replied. Calder, through a creature of the wild, felt an instant connection. "I am bound to the mountains as you are. I am dawn to the cold, to the solitude you cherish. Together we can fill the silence with our tales and adventures." With Calder by her side, the landscape transformed. Laughter returned to the icy bond, echoed off the snow-covered peaks as they journeyed through the winter woods. They hunted together, Calder teaching Skadi the ways of the wild, while she shared her knowledge of the spirits that resonated within the frost. Their new bond grew deeper, rooted in the shared understanding of the cold and the magic it held. They spoke of the dreams under the shimmering stars, shared the warmth of their companionship. Seasons changed, and through winter remained. Warmth blossomed within Skadi's heart. The laughter and joy she once lost began resurfaced, weaving a rich tapestry of life and connection. She learned that the beauty of the winter lay not just in the frost, but in the bonds forged through shared experiences and understanding. One evening, as they sat on the cliff, overlooking the frozen glaciers, Skadi looked at Calder, whose eyes sparkled within the starlight. "You have brought me life back into my world, a fire within the frost. Will you remain with me forever by my side?" Calder nodded. A low growl of agreement rumbled in his throat. "Where you go, I shall follow. Together, we are the guardians of winter, the keepers of its magic." As the years went by, Skadi embraced her new title as the Winter Goddess, not just a figure of vengeance, but a protector of the magic that lays in the snowy realms and the bonds of companionship. The once lonely goddess found solace in the understanding between her and Calder, forging a new legacy, one that celebrated strength, laughter, and the profound bond formed in the heart of winter. In the frost-kissed mountains of Jotunheim, the fierce goddess and her loyal wolf roamed. Their laughter echoed through the valleys, a testament to the beauty that can bloom even in the coldest places. We're on Smite now, under the lore, and let's read Skadi's lore. Full of mirth rag, the halls of Asgard, celebrating the gods drank of mead and feasted on roasted beast, while the corpse of their defeated foe, the Jotun Thrazi, lay cold nearby. For decades, they were at odds. Now the conflict was ended. Odin and his elk openly boasted of their achievements. laughing and cheering, while the floor ran wet with spilled spirits. Then the door swung wide, breathing icy winter winds across the halls. There she stood, spear in hand, skin porcelain pale, clad in snow-dusted furs, and eyes blue as glacier ice, but smoldering with vengeful fire. Skadi, the Jotun's daughter, has come, or had come. Transfixed by her beauty, the gathered gods sought to dissuade her from violence. As a symbol of honor, Odin cast the eyes of her father into the heavens to twinkle as stars for eternity. Skadi was not moved. A life for life, she determined. It was Loki that softened her heart with humor and dance. So juvenile was he that, at last, her frozen features cracked a smile. A wedding. Odin declared Skadi would marry a god and so herself become a goddess. This would be her payment for the life of her father. Now warmed to them, Skadi agreed. Blindfolded, she was to choose her husband by only his feet. She's blindfolded, but she can only choose them by their feet. Okay. Eligible men came forth, and Skadi made her choice. Okay. She's... Okay, get this. She's blindfolded, but she can only choose them by their feet. Was she sniffing the feet? Was she licking the feet? She's blindfolded. And also, some of the men, right? Men, not gods, men came forth. Sure. Okay. Skadi made her choice. Their marriage did not last long. I didn't write this. It's in the game. It went from she made her choice, doesn't tell you what the choice was, and then went straight to their marriage did not last. Is that saying Neoid? They misspelled a god. Oh no. Oh no. They misspelled his name. That's an I. That's not a J. I'll let you know why that's a big deal. But anyways, let's go on. I'm just gonna call him Neroid. Neroid was a god of summer. No, he wasn't. And Skadi, a goddess of winter. After a few years, they assembly parted ways. Skadi returned to the snow-clad mountains of her youth, but without her father or husband, she soon grew lonely. Word spread of a war between the pantheons, Odin and Loki. Neroid, that's an I, not a J. Neroid and Uller. These gods were her family now. And Skadi would not lose only and Skadi would not lose the only family she has left. Neroid. That's an Niord. You misspelled a god. this is a big deal because people have died to go in for Valhalla in real life. In history, there was Vikings that really believed in these gods. To misspell a god is so horribly bad. To misspell it, to miss anything like that, I don't know what to say. People have lost their lives in real life when Vikings went to Britain and they had some battles between Britons and Vikings. Most Vikings died to their gods. And to misspell a name of a god is so hurtful for those who actually believe in these gods. That's why it's a big deal. People have died for these gods. And you just misspelled it. Also, she never married the god of the summer. Hopefully in Smite 2, they change this. And whoever was watching, please let Hirez know that they need to change this. Because that's a big deal. That's an extremely big deal. Yes, you can add some flair to it, right? Let's say, like, the reason why she's fighting with the Pantheons. Don't add the family part. I think that's kind of cringe. Especially when she just broke up with Neroid in your text. Another part I thought it was weird was the whole Loki thing. Yeah, so not Loki. When she was choosing her husband, that part needs to be fixed. Because the way that you guys word it is that she's blindfolded, but yet she can only choose by their feet. So how does that work exactly? She's, again, imagine if I was blindfolded, right? Blindfolded. Can't see, but I can only choose by their feet. So you only have the only options of hearing, smell, mouth. And again, she didn't do any of that. So the lore and Smite, the lore and the video are also two different things. How the fuck did you guys mess that up? You have the text, and then the lore lady has some differences in the lore. So not only that you have not one lore wrong, but two. That's horrible. That's horrible. People have, again, fought wars to go in Valhalla. And that's not just me making it up. This isn't pretend. People have died believing that these guys existed. And you to do that. That's just crazy to me. That's crazy. To mess up the lore that bad. Hopefully in Smite 2, when you guys see this, put Skadi in the game, make sure the lore is correct. Make sure the lore is correct. Make sure you spell the gods' names right. There's no I in Neord. Neroid. Anyways, let's get into the gods builds. All right, now we're finally at the build section. So, I'm going to show you guys my number one build that helped me grow in some of the ranks when playing Skadi this year. And I also wanted to tell you guys a little bit why this build works. So the build that I'm showing you on screen right now is more as an ability based kind of build. Think of it like Neath, right? Yes, you can go attack speed with Skadi, and it does work very well as well. But you gotta also keep in mind what her kit does. And so, let me talk about it. So, let's go over for her one ability. Her one ability, she throws a bigger spear. And yes, this also can slow gods, by the way. Her third ability, she throws some ice on the ground. It can help clear wave and also give you movement speed. But what makes this build so strong isn't even about Skadi. It's actually Colder. Your second ability is one of the strongest abilities in game. So Colder actually has a passive that every time you build power, he gains power as well. Why is this important? And you're probably thinking, who cares about Colder? Well, Colder does a lot of things for you. First things first, he can body block, he can tank tower shots, he can go under tower and secure a kill. He can do a lot. Also, every time he eats a minion or kills a minion, he also regains health. This also works with jungle camps and jungle monsters. Also, Colder isn't easily to be killed. You have to hit him 5 times and then he will eventually go down. And then you also have to keep in mind, what does Skadi's ult do? Oh, that's right, she throws Colder at people. She picks up Colder and tosses him like a football. So, not only that her ult stuns him, but Calder's right in there, and he regains all of his health right there and then. So, you can have Calder go all the way down to like his last HP, or him going back with no HP, and he will come back to you. And then as well, you can also ult, and he will regain all of his health back as an instant. So again, as you can see in this build right here on the screen, you can see why it's kind of strong with Skadi and the ability based kind of format. And again, with this one build that I have crafted, and I have done research and I've looked at other builds and I've tried other builds, I found myself having the most success with outboxing, killing gods, killing tanks, just doing whatever it takes. And this build kind of helps Skadi a lot. Another thing you can keep in mind is that this build can also work not just in Conquest. This can work very well with Arena, Joust, Slash, and all different game modes. The next build is actually a attack speed build. Yes, ability based build works very well. Also, a attack speed build works very well as well. So, giving you guys more different options of how to play Skadi. Alright, and here's a different option for the attack speed build, and this one works very well. Alright, and here is a jungle Skadi build. Yes, I have played Skadi in a jungle role, and this is a build that I have come up with, and it works very well. I do want to say something. So, yes, you can go with Boober's Hammer, but I feel like I have the most success with Boober's Spear. But Boober's Hammer can also work here as well. Alright, and here is another jungle build. So, as you can see, you can swap out Crusher into a Titan's Bane, or you can also swap out Titan's Bane into a Brawler's Breedstick for the anti-heal. And also, you can see that I have swapped out Heartseeker into an Erendite. Erendite works so well with Skadi, and after experimenting a bunch of times, Erendite can proc very well with Skadi, if you think about it, with Skadi ults, she stuns. So not only that you're stunning the enemy, but you can catch up with the enemies pretty fast. So it gives you some options to gank, and the most promising way to get kills with Skadi is ganking a lot. And with Erendite, you can easily gank and catch up with enemies that are trying to run away. Also, keep in mind that Erendite does give you a lot of power, so there you go. Alright, now I'm going to show you 3 different builds for a 1v1 situation. So first 1v1 build, if you're fighting against a physical, then this is the build that I'll probably go with. So this gives you lifesteal, cooldown reduction, and some crit. Found out actually does work, and it works very well with Skadi. And then you don't have to go with Demon Blade. Demon Blade is my personal choice, and you can also swap that into a Deathbringer. Alright, and then this is the magical side. So again, just swapping out the magical. Same build. Also want to keep in mind that you can also swap out Jotuns into a Brawler's Beatstick for the anti-heal. Or even a Crusher can work very well as well. Alright, and then this might look a little goofy, but stay with me. So the last build for the 1v1 situation kind of looks like this. Now I know, this looks a little weird, but let me explain. So this build is, the purpose of this build is to counter the gods or counter tanks that have CC. What I mean by that is a Kumba or a Ymir. So Magi's Revenge, the second item. So this one can work very well because 1, you do get a bubble. 2, when they pop the bubble, they are marked, and for 5 seconds, causing them to receive 10% more damage. That's 10% more damage from anything. So, for example, let's say like Ymir didn't clear his rave, right? And then he tries to stun you, and then he was marked. All your minions will actually do 10% more damage. This can also work with Bull Demon King or even the Phoenix Towers. It doesn't matter. If he's marked, he is gonna take 10% more damage from all sources. So that's why I went from this kind of build. I know it looks a little goofy, but I think it kind of works. And I used this build once, and I actually won a 1v1 situation. Not only that this one build works, this works also with warriors against them. So let's say a Kakolin, when he ults or has a second form and he ults you, he is going to get marked, and you're going to most likely have an opportunity to kill him and backfire at him. This also works very well against Hercules as well. And with this build, you also have the anti-heal. So yeah, it's meant to be a tank shredder. Alright, and then if there's any other builds that I have missed or any items that I haven't covered or whatsoever, you can always put that down in the comments down below and share it to other people. And yeah, I would like to read it, and I think other people would like to read it as well. And hopefully my builds help you to understand how to build Skadi properly. Me personally, I still kind of go by as a more ability-based Skadi, and I feel like I have the most success doing so. And hopefully you might have the same success as I did when building ability-based Skadi. So another thing that I want to talk about is you see a bunch of gameplay all throughout this video, and these are all different matches that I had played out, and I converted it to a smaller highlights of each one. And it kind of gives you the idea of how to engage, what to engage, when to engage, all this other stuff. And it really shows you what I do with a different scenario happens or whatever. Whatever it comes across, I can still rely on not just my build, but my kit as well, and utilize that. Skadi can be very aggressive. There's times that I'll just walk in and ult someone and get away with it because I can. So she can be really good, and especially in jungle. Skadi jungle is a must try in my opinion, not just for carry, but I feel like she does perform very well in jungle because just how she can just go in, get a kill, and get out. Especially with the ice again. The ice gives you movement speed, and the spear can also slow, so you can utilize that. And there's just different ways that you can play Skadi. Another thing and a good tip is just to throw your dog. Even if you don't have your dog up, even if he has like 1 HP, you can always just throw your dog. And not just what I mean by throw your dog, I don't mean just like ult, but you can use him as a body block. And yes, Calder can body block his Sobek pluck. Like there's different ways that you can use Calder, and use Calder as much as you can. Even if he has 1 HP, still use him. You can go under tower with him. You can do so much with Calder. So another item that I wanted to talk about, and this item helped me a lot, and I noticed that a lot of people don't buy it until late game. And what I'm talking about is wards. You can utilize wards so much with Skadi. And not just with Skadi, with any god in the game. The more wards you have, the better chances of you winning is significantly higher than those of you who don't buy wards. If the whole team buys wards, you're most likely going to win the game. And yes, you can go with a standard ward or the Chalice of Oracles that you can just buy it once and you don't have to worry about buying wards ever again. So there's also a next consumable that works very well with Skadi. And I've been kind of utilizing this too. So proximity wards. Proximity wards are interesting. Once revealed, they will, one, explode, and then slow enemies. So, not only that it slows enemies for about 20%, your Skadi also has a slow with her 1. And her 1 ability scales up to, if I believe, 30% of slow at max rank. So not only that, you can just put down a proximity ward, see the enemy god, or you can put them in front of them if they're running away. You can do that, and you can 1, slow them, 2, you can ult them, or use your 1 to slow them even more, and then you can also throw down some ice and catch up with them. So there's so many ways that can benefit you, and it's just 1 consumable, and it's only 75 gold. 75 gold is so cheap. Like, it doesn't take much. It's like 1 minion wave, basically, to even just get this item. Alright, so I need to talk about some disadvantages of Skadi. So one disadvantage is that she is not CC immune when she ults. When she ults, she can easily get countered with a grab, knock up, all the other stuff. And so you want to get beads. Beads and Aegis might be your best friend. But you can also get Blink. Blink is very good if you want to, 1, catch up with an enemy god and secure the kill. But most of the time, depending on the matchup, you want to get beads. Alright, that concludes the build section for Skadi. Hello, and this is me, Firebug, in the flesh. I was going to put my green screen down, but it's halfway down. So, and then as I was doing that, I forgot to how to, what should I do for the conclusion of Skadi? So the conclusion of this video is, one, I want to briefly talk about the issue that I have with high-res and the lore section, because once I read it, I was a little upset, but then I gave it some time. A couple days had passed, and now I'm here. So I understand that the lore wasn't 100% correct, and when Smite was, at the baby steps of coming up, but you're at the stage of Smite 2 right now. Smite 2 is about to be in open betas. So my only concern is, if you're going to have the lore, please update the lore. Please update it. Smite 1, I get it. You guys are probably not going to work on Smite 1 anymore, which is fine, right? It is what it is. You guys are all focused on Smite 2, and it is going to be that. That's just reality, right? But the problem isn't about the lore itself. It's like the whole family thing. I get that. I get the whole add some Smite flair to it, right? It's a Smite storytelling. I don't know whatever happened to that. But the only issue that really upset me was, one, you misspelled the god's name wrong. Like, come on. And on top of it, you categorized him as the god of the summer. Nord is the god of the sea. He is not the god of the summer. The god of the summer is this guy right here. Then I'm going to put it on the screen. This guy. So, the reason why it's an issue, because I don't want you guys to rewrite history. So what I mean by that is, we have a lot of young audience. We have a lot of young people playing video games. People not as old as I am, right? But you got a lot of Gen Zs and Gen Alphas playing video games, and they might have an interest of these gods. They're like, wow, I didn't even know other gods exist. And then they start reading that. Then they're going to be like, oh, Nord is the god of the summer. And then he's going to tell his friends, and he's going to tell that friends, and then so on. So the problem kind of spreads from the source. And the source is you guys. You. So, and I find it kind of ironic that this game, the most popular game, is about gods, and you don't have the stories correct. It's kind of like having a hot dog stand, but when I go up and get a hot dog, you guys gave me chili. It's like, yes, chili does go on hot dogs, but you're missing the point. The point is, please, for the love of God, if you see this high res or someone else addresses it and makes this, a big deal, please, high res, make sure the lore is correct. The lore is very important for future generations and future generations. So, there you go. That's the only concern I have. Otherwise, that's it. I don't care about the whole family thing. I know it was a little cringe, but yet again, I understand that you were trying to add some Smite flair to it. Also, I didn't understand that is that not only that you messed up the lore once, but you messed it up 2 times. So in game is a different story than what the Lady of the Lore said on your Smite YouTube. So don't know what that is all about. Not too much of like a differences, but there is some that I noticed it. The one of them is in game, you described her as Skadi. You described her as she's blindfolded when she's choosing her husband, but she can only tell by their feet. She can only pick by their feet. And if she's, again, blindfolded, how would she pick these gods' feet? And, people start wondering and have different fantasies of Skadi. So there's that. Also, you got to keep in mind that people are still worshiping Skadi till this day. So, to one, set that end game is kind of like you're making fun of her, which isn't too cool, right? So, you should probably give a god or goddesses their respect that they need. So, fix that. Do not put the whole blindfold. You could do the curtain scene, because most storytellers about Skadi used a curtain. So they say, okay, so, but she can only see their feet. So she's not blindfolded. She can still see the feet, and she thought that the cleanest feet belonged to the most handsomest, the most handsomest god ever, Boldger, or Boulder. So that's why she was tricked. And there's some stories saying that Loki tricked her of thinking that. You can add stuff to that, Either way works, because there's different storytellings of Norse mythology. However, just don't downgrade a goddess or a god in your game. And this is just one example that I noticed. I don't know if there's any other examples in the game that you have messed up in the lore. So my only message to Hi-Rez is please do a double take on you guys' lore. Do not copy and paste from what Smite 1 said into Smite 2. That being said, that's it. That's the only gripe I have. Skadi is an interesting character. I'm kind of happy that I made this video about it. And yeah, I don't know what else to really say. She is a strong character. She is top played in duel, and some people actually prefer banning her in duel. So there's that. She is very good in 1v1 situations. Ganking, she has a possibility to live. And hopefully my build guide helped you guys. And hopefully you guys learned something about the lore. And again, one last thing. I'm not an expert when it comes to Norse mythology, or claim to be an expert in what shape or form. I just do my own research. I have books in the background. I have read, tons of stuff online about Skadi's lore. There was a lot of misinformation about Calder and where he came from. So I'm glad that I kind of shared that in this video as well. So that's it. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully, my video did pretty well. So yeah, even if it gets like a couple of views, at least it showed someone. At least I showed someone this and put it into address of Hi-Rez, please make sure the lore is correct. Alright. That being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you next year. Bye-bye.